Hello, my name is Dhruva Jaishankar, Fellow for Foreign Policy at Brookings India, and welcome to Internationally Speaking. The big news coming out in the last few days has been the Maldives presidential elections. The provisional results have come out. There was about 90% turnout for the polls, very high percentage. And to the surprise of many observers, the President Abdullah Yameen lost the election to the opposition, led by a consensus candidate, Ibrahim Soli, a veteran member of parliament. The results have come as a considerable surprise because many had expected a great deal of vote rigging and imperfect or flawed results. And many people are drawing parallels between the developments in the Maldives with other recent developments, including political outcomes, including in Sri Lanka in 2015, when the government of Mahinda Rajapaksa lost the election again to a consensus candidate that was fielded as the opposition, and more recently in Malaysia in 2018, when Mahathir Mohamad, the former Prime Minister, came back against a long-standing incumbent. In all of these cases, the fear was that there was growing authoritarianism in these countries, growing financial backing from China that was leading to considerable debt, and that in all these cases, these increasingly authoritarian leaders seem to have been ousted by democratic elections. There are, of course, problems that the Maldives will be facing, and indeed Sri Lanka has shown how many of these problems have continued to exist despite the successful political transition. And this include preserving a political coalition, dealing with considerable debt owed to China and other investors, issues of justice and reconciliation, including political reconciliation, and the Maldives in particular it's facing a number of social challenges as well, including radicalization. It has the highest per capita recruitment amongst ISIS, the Islamic State or Daesh. Organized crime is a big problem, smuggling, and so the long and short of it is that the Maldives is going to continue to be facing considerable challenges despite what seems to be a very positive electoral outcome. For India, there was a good deal of international pressure to intervene in the Maldives as a crisis seemed to be looming earlier this year. There was a suspension of civil liberties, a suspension of parliament and the judiciary, and much of the pressure stemmed from a past experience from 1988 when India had intervened militarily to counter a coup that had taken place. However, India had several other concerns. One was preserving military-to-military ties between India and the Maldives. India patrols the exclusive economic zone of the Maldives. There was also a question of who would be the consensus candidate for the opposition. India saw that as being a very much more open question than it was sometimes perceived to be. There was also concerns about the safety and security of Indian citizens in the Maldives, as well as the legality of intervention. I think this is where there was a big difference with 1988, where India had actually been invited by the ousted president. Another set of developments is taking place across the region. Several countries in the Indo-Pacific are coming up with new policies that put India front and center, particularly in their economic strategies. South Korea under President Moon Jae-in, who visited India in July, has come out with a new southern policy. Taiwan under President Tsai Ing-wen has what they call a new southbound policy, and Australia has come out with a new India-specific India economic strategy, all of which are aimed towards increasing trade and investment with India. For all three of these countries, and I would add Japan to the mix, Japan has a much older tradition of this. The chief goal seems to be to try and diversify their economic dependence away from mainland China. And the focus of these efforts is really Southeast Asia, number one, the ASEAN countries, and India, number two. And this, I think, is a very significant development that has not really been looked at quite consistently. It's another matter that India may not be be always able to take full advantage of this. Many of companies from these countries are still facing significant barriers or hindrances to entry, including tariffs, land acquisition, the overall business climate, and so forth. But it is a welcome sign that now you have a very conscious effort on the part of many of these countries to put India front and center in their economic strategies. India is also facing competition from others, including Vietnam, Bangladesh, which sometimes seem to be more adept and more agile in exploiting the opportunities now presented to them. Thank you for joining us, and hope you can catch us next time on Internationally Speaking.